You are listening to the Joyce Ulrich Show from Toronto, Canada, Arts and Entertainment Edition.
That's a song called Bad Lessons, and that's from my guest's latest album that just released in August, and that's called Nashland, like Nashville and it's in Dixieland and all that kind of stuff, all that kind of jazz. And we're going to hear a lot of really great jazz today from Mike Field, and that is he's raised in Canada and USA. He's a jazz trumpeter. That was him blowing there, and it was wonderful. Just he's a composer, a vocalist. Won't hear him singing today, but we're going to hear him tell a lot of really great stories. He's known for bright and energetic music, which you just heard some great stuff from his new album Nashland, and he's won a lot of awards, and he's got a lot of accolades, and he's been winning worldwide independent music award and all kinds of things. He's just great, and he's got a good philosophy. He thinks life is too short. He doesn't, why take it too seriously? You want to have some fun as much as possible, and he certainly does, similar to how Louis Armstrong, Louis Jordan, and Brian Seltzer have done in the past, and if you like Miles Davis and Chet Baker, you're going to love this music today. So Mike Field, you've performed all over the world in Canada, USA, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, with the odd concert in South Korea. That's where my daughter-in-law is from, and Chile. And we're going to talk a little bit about Antarctica. That sounds crazy, but I understand your wife's a travel agent, so you can go just about any place, can't you, Mike?
Hi. Yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah, as long as my passport allows me to go, I am very happy to go and eager.
Yeah, amazing. So I just have to, I got to ask you a really crazy question right off the top, because just listening to Bad Lessons, that dun 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 dun, that theme.
Mm-hmm.
Did you listen to a lot of Looney Tunes when you were a kid?
Of course I did.
Okay, you know what? I wrote a song called Start Light that has da da dee da da da. What was that I saw tonight? Well, I was.
Nice.
You know why? Because I watch a lot of Looney Tunes too. So, and I remembered that, and because it was always you remember when they had the little mechanical broom that would come out that would be a mess, and the little robot broom would come out and go da 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 da, and would bring. Okay, so I needed to clear that up right at the top.
I'm sure that all of the music from Looney Tunes growing up is permeated into my brain. It definitely comes out through my music.
I'm telling you, they say it's not good for kids, but look what it's done for us.
Oh my gosh, the music was so great. I learned so much music from watching that.
I know it was fabulous production, and I don't know why they took it off television. Well, you can get it on YouTube anyway, as you can also see you on YouTube as well. So tell people to go and listen to you on YouTube. That's Mike Field. But oh wow, that was a great opener, and that's the first song, the first track on your Nashland album that just came out in August, and it's just so big band and so great and so bright and wonderful. I just love it. And your band's amazing. Who's playing on that besides you?
Great. Well, thanks. On tenor saxophone, it's Paul Metcalf, and on piano, it's Mark Camilleri. On upright bass is Russ Boswell, and on drums, Davide DiRenzo. So all local Toronto guys.
Unreal. We have amazing musicians in Toronto.
We so do.
Such a cross section. I remember when the Cuban musicians were just coming in, you know?
Yeah.
And that I think that was really the start of the change in the sound in Toronto. Some of it anyway, because I know you have a little bit of Latin licks in your songs as well. We can play something. We'll definitely point people to it. So let's do the backstory for Bad Lessons, because you are a storyteller in your music and also in your travels.
Yeah, and even on stage when we give concerts, I like to tell some of the stories behind the music to help engage with the audience, and it keeps things interesting while we're performing and really fun. And I find that helps people connect with the music a little more. So, for example, the story behind Bad Lessons. It started when I was studying jazz in New York City. I had the opportunity, because I was in New York City, to take private lessons with really famous trumpet players. Just because you're famous, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good teacher.
Well, no.
And
If anything, is probably the opposite because there's no patience. Like you don't get this tough,
right. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And so I had my first private lesson with a really famous trumpet player, and I was so excited, and it was like $200 for 2 hours. And I drove up to his place, and I pulled into the driveway. I get out of the car, and he's like coming out of the house, and and he says, Mike, and I'm like, yes, oh, it's so good to meet you. And he interrupts me. He's like, hey, listen, Mike, I need to pay some bills.
Oh.
And, for the first hour of the lesson, we're just going to be talking anyway. So why don't we get in my car and we'll drive to the bank and we can chat while I'm paying the bills. And I was like, what? Like, I was so excited to meet this guy finally, right? So there's no way I'm going to say no to him, but it definitely threw me off. But so there we were for the first half hour of the lesson, standing in line at the bank so he could pay his mortgage. And then he decided that he was really hungry. So the next half hour, we ended up spending at the pizzeria next door. And I was sitting across from him, watching him stuff his face with pizza and kind of talk. We didn't really talk much about jazz at all or anything. And then finally we made it back to his place, and I played the trumpet maybe for like 30 seconds, and then he cut me off, and then he played and continued telling stories about how wonderful of a trumpet player he thought that he was. So and I had to pay $200 for that experience.
Jeepers, you couldn't have just waited behind the stage door when you came out of a gig and gotten his autograph. That would have been a bit.
Yeah. So it was definitely unexpected, but it was very inspiring, and so it ended up inspiring that song called Bad Lessons.
Wow, and I don't think you'll do, but but you know what he taught you? He taught you the real life of a musician. Doesn't matter how famous you are. This stuff happens. You need to pay the bills, and you eat pizza for lunch or dinner. Like it ain't easy.
Absolutely.
It ain't easy. The 1%'s the 1%.
Yeah.
And even if you are the 1% at some point in time when you were really famous, you go up, you come down. It just happens. I mean, we see that at Casino Rama all the time. We see these big names coming up there. We know what's happening. It's just the way it is. So before we go any further, I just have to know what I know you play lots of places. Let's get this out of the way. Antarctica, I have to know.
Yeah. So I was on a trip to South America, and Antarctica was the goal.
Okay.
I had always dreamed of going there, and so I finally made it happen. And I had my trumpet with me, and I wasn't planning on doing this, but by having my instrument with me, that ends up opening up a whole bunch of creating a whole bunch of new opportunities that you're not expecting, right?
Right.
And so I jammed on stage with some people in Santiago, Chile, and then when I made it down to Antarctica, I'm on the ship. And there was a guitarist who had been hired to perform the musical, to provide the musical entertainment for all the people on the ship going to Antarctica and taking us around. And he was very lonely playing the guitar all by himself. And as soon as he learned that I was a musician and that I had my trumpet with me, he's like, oh my God, Mike, okay, so we have to just do this together. Really, it's not going to be a problem at all. And so every single day on the ship, we ended up performing together. So it was me and him on guitar. And that's how it ended up happening. And one day I did even bring my trumpet ashore onto Antarctica. And however, you can't really play a concert.
I was going to say your lips would freeze to the brass.
Well, it was surprisingly
that'd be
not
like
that'd
be like brass monkey things,
Yeah, it could. Yeah, before I had gone, I would have totally agreed. But when we went, it was summer, or it was the daylight season, and it really wasn't that cold. Of course, there are times where you get these things called katabatic winds, and they come out of nowhere, and the wind is blowing at like 7 billion miles an hour, and it's so unbelievably cold. But it can go from there was a time where we were like walking up a hill, and it was a big enough hill that by the time we got up to the top, we were down to our t-shirts. We had taken off like our sweaters and everything. So it can be sunny and quite warm. It was definitely above 0 degrees at times. So not too cold to make your lips freeze to an embouchure. To the mouthpiece. Yeah, but the thing is, on Antarctica, you're not allowed to make that much noise at all because it will literally cause an ice fall. like a
Oh my
massive
goodness,
shelf
of
like
course.
a piece of the shelf will
There
fall
goes
off.
Mike Field into the sea.
Right. Yeah. So I kind of like squeezed out a few notes and enough to have the experience of actually playing on the continent, but the rest was on the ship, traveling up and down the Antarctic Peninsula. It was absolutely amazing, very unexpected.
No, an Antarctic cruise, and wouldn't you have made news though had that happened? You know, there you are on the shelf, and yeah,
Oh yeah.
that
Like, you mean if I'd broken off a piece of the ice shelf?
yeah. I think
Yes, I don't want to
hey,
know what
this
would
would
have
be
happened
the
to me.
best. Then they appear a secret tunnel with UFOs in it. You see, 'cause you know the other show I have is
Right.
paranormal and UFOs. Maybe that could have happened. Gee, you could have been really famous. Anyway.
It's so true. We could discover something that's been frozen in
An
the
old
ice.
base or some frozen explorer. Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway, that's marvelous. Okay, we got that out of the way. That's good. I had to know. You know, inquiring minds have to know. So, so you're in Toronto right now, but you said you were in Las Vegas for a couple of years, but you travel. So where would be your home base then, really?
I would call at the moment. I would call Toronto my home base.
Yeah, I guess.
I was
yeah.
born and raised here in
Yeah.
Toronto, but my dad was American, and so I always had a strong connection with the U.S.
Nice.
And would go back and forth often enough. And I lived in New York City when I studied jazz. I lived in Los Angeles for a while, and then throughout COVID, I lived in Las Vegas. And continued to go back. I ended up coming back to Toronto because sadly my parents got very sick, and then they passed away. So I was helping to take care of them, and deal with the estate and all the stuff that comes with that. And so I still have a base in Las Vegas as well. And but at the moment I've been spending the past like months mainly in Toronto. Having said that, I still have an urge to travel and explore, just like I always did. And before COVID happened, I was on the road for between 6 and 9 months of the year, every single year for over 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope to get back to that.
Yeah, well, you've got the perfect tour coordinator there with your wife. She's in the tourist industry, so that's the travel industry. That's amazing. Yeah, you were in Germany this past year.
Yep. Yeah, I've been going to Germany pretty much every year for at least for 10 years. I started organizing concerts over there, and then I went to the Jazz Ahead conference in Bremen, Germany, right at the end of April. I think the first time I went was around 2013. And I met a booking agent, and she signed me on, and so a booking agent in Germany, and ever since we've been playing concerts in Germany every single year, usually in May, and right after the Jazz Ahead conference. And and it's been absolutely amazing. She's been a wonderful booking agent, and the shows have been really great. The audience for jazz in Germany is really wonderful. They love music, instrumental music, non-popular music. And
they are wonderful audience for all music. I think when you go to Germany, the Beatles, they went to Germany, like give you a hand. Everything worked out for them there, and it's a great place to break in and to be seen and heard. It really is an amazing place. You've also played in France and of course in Las Vegas. That's great in the Nevada room there. So you're a working musician, which is wonderful.
Yeah, as much as I can make it work. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's a slog, but it is worth every single minute, because the moment I get on stage and we play the first song and I see the reaction of the audience, all of the annoyances of being a musician go right out the window, and I'm just like, yes, this is why it's so great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and you've got quite a few albums out, actually, and I want to direct people right now actually to your website, because they should take a look while we're talking here, to go scrolling through to see all the albums that you've released, and you can purchase all of your albums through your website, correct?
Yep. Yes, you can.
That's the best way. Then you get the money.
Right.
The money,
Yes,
Sonny.
exactly.
So this would be Mike Field Jazz. I'm just looking. Oh, this is a different kind of site. So Dot Square, is that? Oh my goodness, I don't make
The store site is a Square site. Yeah.
Square
But
site.
if you
Okay.
go- yeah.
Okay.
if you
So
go to
Mike Field Jazz Square site, but you can go to mikefieldjazz.com and that
Right.
will take you to everything, bio store, everything.
Exactly.
Everything will be there. So just go to mikefieldjazz.com, MikeField jazz, JAZZ.com. So yeah, so take a look there because, and you know, I went on, and you also got the YouTube channel, and go there, and of course you can access your videos, of course, on your website. But I really enjoyed your songs from True Stories,
Thanks.
CD. How fun is that? Actually, I want you to send me a few of those MP3s because for my other show, the Paranormal and UFO edition, I can use some of those songs.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. There's
Ghost song and a space song,
oddly-
the Mechanic. I like Mechanic,
Right.
and
Yeah, oddly, there's this weird sci-fi aspect to some of my writing when I write vocal tunes.
was that
Like, yeah,
from-
the space mechanic, he fixes rocket bikes.
yeah.
And I've got another song that I haven't yet recorded called "My Friends from Outer Space."
Oh, come on.
Um,
Have you
yeah.
have you ever had an experience?
I'm just a huge sci-fi fan and tech fan. I've always been fascinated with space. I've been to space camp 2 times in my life, and
Oh.
so when I write music, if it comes out, I just try to write whatever music comes out, whatever music wants to come out.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And so you never know what direction it's going to go in, right? As soon as you turn off your brain and you let come out what wants to come out, where is it going to go? And sometimes it takes me to songs about a guy who fixes rocket bikes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes me to, like a singer-songwriter tune about like a road trip, or like some sort of love song or nostalgic tune. But then there's also the Ghost and the Paperboy
I was looking at that
from the
too.
True Stories album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that one too. Yeah, you're definitely sending me some MP3s.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
But for sure. But yeah, no, it's absolutely fun. And I do ask people when they have this sort of interest in writing these kind of songs if they had an experience, because a lot of people have experienced a lot here in the Toronto area. I mean, it's Lake Ontario and everything. Anyway, that's where the ships go to cool themselves down after they come in from the atmospheres. But so let's cool down with some cool music. So I want to play another tune, and I know we talked about. Actually, I'm going to let you pick it. I was going to play the Ballad of Chet Baker and get a song behind that, but is there another song you'd prefer me to play right now that has a storyline that you'd like to talk about?
How about the song Peppino and the Engineer?
Okay.
I like telling the story behind that one. That's a relatively new one.
Let's
And
do
the song
it.
is pretty fun too.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and this one has a bit of that Latin rumba feel to it as well that we were
absolutely.
talking about.
Well, I would love that because I told you before. I was in a Cuban band, para 11 años. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Wow, nice.
Yes, Pablo Terry and Sol de Cuba. Anyway, here we go. So what's the backstory so people can listen to it with the backstory in their head?
Sure. Okay. So after my tour in Germany this year, I spent about 7 days in Italy, and I was in the south of Italy. And so picture being in a very small town in Italy. There's like this little, like the market area, the town square, and it's super quiet. There's like no one around because it's the lunch break and everyone is either eating or sleeping for 2
Yes,
hours in the middle of
yeah.
the day, right? And so I ended up going into this super local, tiny hole in the wall restaurant. And it is tiny. So outside there are about 6 tables and it's packed. They're all packed with these like construction workers, guys who are just taking the break from manual labor all day. And inside there are no tables at all, and there's no staff at all to be seen.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden this one guy comes out and he's wearing this like bandana and this t-shirt and an apron, and he's just like drenched in sweat. He's so hot. He's like running around, and it turns out he's doing everything. He is the waiter, he's the busser, he's taking the orders, he's doing the cash, and he's even the cook. So he's like going back and he's cooking the food for these people, right? So eventually a seat opens up, I sit down, and the construction workers all kind of finish their meal at the exact same time.
Right.
And then, and so I'm there, just the one table, and then this other guy, this older guy comes
arrives, and he arrives on this old, decrepit little Vespa, and he looks like he's out of like a 1920s Italian film. He's wearing blue coveralls with a red and white horizontal striped t-shirt, like a Where's Waldo t-shirt.
Yeah, I was thinking this waiter, owner, whatever, this jack of all trades looks like that too. This little bandana and his everything. He must look like that too.
Well, he was a younger guy, but this other guy, I think he was from the 20s, maybe not that old, but he's like, so he sits down and he's like, and he didn't even have to order. The waiter brought his food immediately, so he's obviously a regular.
Right.
And then he starts chatting to us, and he's going on about how he's like, oh, you're from Canada. It's like, oh, that's really great. We absolutely love Canadians here. And then he needed some cheese, so he screams out just in the middle of like a sentence where he's telling us a story. He's like, Peppino, un po' di formaggio. He wanted some cheese,
Yes.
right? So he's yelling to the guy, Peppino, apparently that's his name. And
Peppino.
so Peppino comes out and brings him his cheese, and then the guy keeps going on, and he's telling us how he worked as an engineer all of his life. And he was just chatting. He was a little weird, but it was just wonderful because, you're at this super local restaurant and there's this guy just talking to you, and it was all in Italian. It was really great. And then he finally left, and then Peppino, he looks over and he's like, oh, that guy, huh? And I'm like, oh, what? He was like really nice. He worked as an engineer all his life. And he's like, and Peppino's
Did he
like,
roll his eyes?
oh, really? Oh, wow. Well, he told me that he worked as a chef all of his life. So I was going, oh, okay. So now we have no idea what to believe, but it was a very unexpected but super fun experience. And so that ended up inspiring a tune that I only wrote just a couple weeks before recording the album. So this is Peppino and the Engineer.
And you were quite the linguist as well. I understand you've learned quite a few languages, so that must have been a real treat to your ears to hear.
It was great.
The story
it was
of
so great.
Peppino and the Engineer. Well, here we go. Mike Field, his latest composition that's been recorded, Peppino and the Engineer from Nashland. You got to get that album. Here we go. Peppino and the Engineer. That's Peppino and the engineer, and that's Mike Field, and that's from his fabulous Nashland album that's just come out in August. And my gosh, great Latin licks in there. Absolutely, it's a little bit of Montuno, a lot of sounds I love. Absolutely, your music is so listenable.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thanks.
It sounds stupid. Duh, it's really nice to listen to. Well, I like it because it's got the feel of the 1960s jazz with the 1950s. Like it's a combination of like 1940s, 50s, and 60s. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I just feel, that's what I'm feeling, and that is classic. It's never going to go out of style, and it's a wonderful place to create. There's a lot of space, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know, a lot of space for you can move around in that. I find, when I hear I don't know, some jazz I can't listen to because I think it's so intellectual. I love to sing jazz and everything, but well, sing jazz. You know, we have to watch it as singers when we say we sing jazz, because sorry about that. I live at I think every ambulance and fire truck goes past my apartment building on Eglinton. It's like, rah, rah. Anyway, but no, I find that some, and I don't fault them, but you know, when people play for themselves and not for the audience, a lot of audience love the music. It's like, you know, you go, now I'm stuttering over my words, something. I don't want to offend anyone, but I just find this is really, really, really easy on the ear. I love it. I
totally know what you mean.
I don't have to think too much, you know. I don't have to think, you know.
Yeah. I think that's a really good characterization of the music. And I write what just comes out, but I do focus on the melody as well. And so I start with the melody. Every tune starts with the melody, and I'll compose some chord changes that fit around it.
Sure.
And, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like upbeat and energetic and fun to listen to. And the melodies, you know, I'll come up with it while I'm like already tapping my foot and my body is already moving. And so I guess that ends up translating to the listener when they're listening to the music. And once we record it, as long as I can record it faithfully, you know, accurately compared to what I hear in my head. And on this album, I feel like I have done that. But yeah, so if someone enjoys it and someone's getting their foot tapping and they feel that it's easy to listen to and they don't have to get jazz to be able to listen to my music, then that's amazing. That's kind of exactly what I'm going for.
Well, you got it. And when you're where did you record it?
That is a good question. So this album was recorded in a whole bunch of different places.
I figured,
we recorded the bed tracks in for a few of the songs at Canterbury Music Company.
Okay,
that's a really great studio on Dufferin at King Street. And I recorded three of my previous albums entirely at that studio.
Excellent.
So we did the bed tracks for a few of the tunes there, and then the rest was overdubs in all of our home studios.
Okay, yeah, and you can do that now with Pro Tools and
amazing.
Everything.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. It is amazing. I have to work hard to make sure that what I send the musicians so that they can do their overdubs makes sense, and that they already know exactly like the feel that I'm going for, and where, you know, different hits fall in the song, you know, basic arrangement things, but also the nuances to the arrangement.
Right.
I have to make sure that what I send them is enough for them to do what I'm going for, but also so it still sounds like we are playing together, because we are playing together. It's
of course you
know, whether we're in, you know, different rooms at the studio or whether we're in different studios across the city.
Okay, so
obviously the bed tracks were all recorded, like everyone literally was in the same room.
You have to be.
But yeah, and also it gives me a lot of flexibility to work with the arrangements in post-production, you know, once they've already recorded, because I'll have an idea of the of how I want the song arranged in my head.
Okay.
And we'll go into it that way. But you know, sometimes you know, in more often than not, it's perfectly fine. But I don't want to make the songs just fine. I want them, I play around with it a little bit with the arrangement to see if I can make something that's a little more interesting than just fine. And sometimes, you know, I'll move entire sections of a song if it A, makes sense musically, and B, technically, if I can do that because of the way that the musicians are playing. Because, you know, you can't always just like copy paste or like cut and paste parts of the song around. Yeah.
Because I was wondering, because I was going to ask you just how charted and arranged are your music. Because some musicians, they've got to have it, you know, every note, every beat, everything has to be, they got their partitura, that's it. That's what you got to follow. I'm not feeling that with your music, because your music feels live off the floor. It feels improvised, and it doesn't have, it's not static in any way. And that sounds like a funny word to use maybe, but I think it's the only word that came to my small head, my brain. But you know what I'm talking about, where it's so regimented, it becomes method rather than music.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I totally know what you mean.
Like you want to have that. You want to have that freedom, that flow. And even if you are putting, like, and that's what a good producer does. You produce this yourself. This is amazing.
Yep.
That's great, because you know, because that's a real gift too, to be able to mix but you master it somewhere else. So I believe you send it where it might be mastered.
Yeah, and also I had an amazing mixing engineer.
You have a mixing engineer
as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you're working along with the mixing engineer to say, I want this here. Can you try this? Can you do that? Or
no. I did the editing is part of the process that I did entirely on my own, and that was, you know, moving parts of the arrangement around if or when that was required.
All right.
But then I had everything. You know, I would just basically output the stems of each instrument and send it to the mixing engineer, and he would do his mixing magic with the levels and
the levels are really important.
EQ, compression, and reverb and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But he did not do any of the arrangement work. That was entirely on me as the producer making the decisions, and then as the editing engineer to actually make the edits to open it up in Pro Tools or Apple Logic, whichever DAW I was using at the time. Yeah.
Well, that's
but
amazing.
Yeah, in terms of structuring the song and making it feel more, you know, flowy as opposed to very method, like you said, you know, that's how we always perform as well. I wanted this album to be very close to how we perform.
It sounds live off the floor. It does. It sounds live. It's got that feel to it. And it's got a big open space sound. It doesn't sound compressed. It does. It sounds very. It's dancey, and it's just really great. Yeah, I like it.
Well, thanks. And part of that is also the mixing engineer's work, because he did not. So I'm talking about Vic Florencia.
Okay.
If anyone knows him, he's just wonderful, and he's in town. And so he doesn't do. What he does is an art. There's no question, because I try to mix on my own, and I can't make it sound anywhere near as good as what Vic does, or any of the professional mixing engineers. But having said that, he doesn't do all the million production things that you can do to a pop album.
No.
On this one, you know, because we wanted that live sound, we wanted that real authentic sound. You know, it's not an overproduced sound. We're not going to like compress like crazy different instruments or whatever. You know, it's very minimal.
I don't like compression. A lot of stuff. It's just.
Yeah. I mean, there's a time and place for it, and on this, you know, I'm sure there's some. I didn't open up the Vic's files, but I'm sure there's. Well, I'm sure there is some.
You have to have a little bit of compression, but maybe on your part. It's like a
little bit
on the high ends. But
a little tiny bit. I mean, to make it sound professional.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, you're gonna have a little bit of that. You're gonna have some EQing and that's all perfectly fine. I have no problems with that. In terms of arranging, one thing I wanted to say was that I leave a lot of room for the musicians to do their thing, because I find that you get the best results, so to speak,
Mhm.
when you let musicians do their thing, when you let them do what they're
Exactly.
best at. If they've got their heads down and they're thinking about every single bar at a time, and they're trying to think, okay, well, here it changes to 5/4. I got to get ready for that, and here I got to do
Yeah.
this like
I got to go
triplet
A
rhythm,
to
I got to be
B,
ready
and
for that.
I go to C now. Where do I go? Oh no,
Yeah,
where's
but
you know.
they will do it, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. These musicians are phenomenal.
pros.
They
They're
can
pros.
do it, and it's unreal. But and it's still going to sound amazing. But I find that they can do even more when you just keep it simple, and
Mhm.
they can just kind of let loose. Because I don't have an unlimited budget. I can't pay for them to rehearse
No.
20 times and just internalize every single beat
Exactly.
of the tune. Like, no, I'm sending them these tracks, pretty and it's like, hey, we've got just a few hours to work on these. And in the studio, we're always, pressed for time. And so
Well,
trying to
time
keep
is
the
money. Are
arrangement
you
simple
kidding
helps.
me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
It's
right.
not a
Yeah,
place to rehearse. It's not a place to rehearse, because I know.
Yeah,
But you're
exactly.
putting aces in their places. That's what that's called.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're just saying, I want you here because I know that you can do this really great, and I'm going to just
yeah,
let you do it. That's
yeah,
important.
exactly. Yeah, and
And
they're all such a pleasure to work with. Like, they're all just super awesome people and so easy to work with, and it's great.
and
Yeah.
with the great musicians, that's what happened. You could tell when they had whoever was sitting in their band, you could hear the licks. You knew that was that person's style, and that's what added to it. And that's so important.
Yeah, for
That-
sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
that takes a real professionalism to allow that to happen as well, because it doesn't always happen. But I'll tell you, Toronto has an incredible, like I said, an incredible array of music now in the city. And it's so great that you're playing more out of the city. Although you play down direct, you play at the 403. You played around the city.
Oh yeah.
Have you got
Yeah.
any gigs coming up at all?
At the moment, no.
But you're pretty busy right now doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. We just
private
had
stuff,
the album release concert at Reed's Distillery in the
Oh,
East
right.
End, in Toronto. That's a really great place.
Nice.
That we played at a couple times already this year.
Okay.
And we might be performing in November this year, but I'm still trying to work out my schedule. And
Sure.
and we're working on planning concerts in Germany for next year, and also we're just going to start lining up next summer in Canada as well, and potentially some other countries. So
That'd be great.
definitely stay tuned.
No, I think it'd be great. No, so I'm going to tell people again, go to Mike Field Jazz to find out what those dates are, because you're always adding dates, and everything's there. Absolutely everything's there. So I want to play some more music, because you're time
Great.
to play more music. Yeah, we got time. So I go just about an hour or something, so we got plenty of time. So let's play another tune. What would you like to tell us a story? I like your stories. They're good.
Well, great. Should we do Chicken, Cigars, and Leche? Should we do that one, or save that for later?
Let's save that one for the last, because that's a chunky song too. What's Traffic Police about?
Traffic Police. Okay. All right. So
What's that?
I spent a month in the Dominican Republic,
Uh-huh.
and I was driving down the highway in a rental car, and in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And I was not going very fast, but of course I got pulled over for going too fast. Right.
Uh-oh.
And so I pull over, and the cop pulls over behind me, and he comes over to the passenger window, and he's like, it's the passenger window.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the passenger window, not the driver window. I got it. Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, hi, how are you? It's so great to meet you. Where are you from? Oh, Canada. Wonderful, wonderful. Where in Canada? Oh, Ontario, Toronto. That's so great. Well, it's just wonderful that you're here. Just so great." And I'm like, "Okay, what is going on?
Are you dragging me to jail? Will I stay for 5 years in jail? What's going on here?"
Right. And so he's like going on like that. And then all of a sudden he's like, "So, the reason that I stopped you is because you were going a bit too fast. You were going 70 kilometers an hour, and the limit here is 40. Yeah, the limit here is 40. And I'm like, really? Oh, okay. And, you know, I know how it is. I've kind of been through this before in the Dominican.
Right.
They'll just kind of say whatever. So I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that I was going that fast or that the limit was 40. Sorry about that. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, no, that's okay. But, you know, I'm going to have to give you a ticket, you know. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's too bad, but okay. And so he's like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna have to give you a ticket, but it's gonna be really annoying for you to pay. You know, you're gonna have to come down to the police station at some point, you know, and you're gonna have to fill out a whole bunch of forms and everything. It's gonna be really, really annoying for you to pay for this ticket.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that sounds annoying, but okay, I'm sorry I went too fast. And he's like, yeah. And he pauses a bit and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna write you this ticket now. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, are you sure you want? I'm like, well, no, but what are my options? And he's like, oh, well, that's a good question. What are your options? I'm like, well, what do you mean?
Welcome to the Dominican.
Do you mean like money? Yeah. And he's like, oh, no, I would never ask you for that. I'm like, okay, good, because I don't really have US
You don't want to
dollars on me
bribe
anyway.
either, and then be charged for that. That would be terrible.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And he's like, no, like, I don't have any US dollars on me anyway. He's like, oh, well, pesos are okay. I'm like, what? It's like, well, I don't have any pesos on me either. It's like, well, I'm like, I have maybe I think I had like maybe $10 or $15 worth in my pocket. And he's like, and he's like, well, how much do you have? And I told him, and he rolls his eyes. He's like, he was annoyed that I only had that little amount of money on me in the car. And so he's just like, he like flings my license back to me in the car. And he's like, oh, well, have a good day. And then
Geez, he couldn't shake you down enough. Eh? It was too exasperating for him, probably because he has to do paperwork as well. And he didn't want to have to do that either.
It just wasn't worth his while over only a piddly $15 worth of pesos. So, but again, really unexpected, hilarious experience that inspired a song. And so this is the tune Traffic Police.
Okay, here we go. Traffic Police. the Jumpin' and Jivin' Traffic Police by Mike Field from his great new album, Nashland. You got to go get this album. It's not hard to do. You just have to go to mikefieldjazz.com and just buy it. And they're not expensive. And you get the digital copy and what else? The let me just see here. Yeah, physical CDs and digital downloads. Very good.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Joyce.
Oh, no problem. We're here to sell the music too, because I mean that's what it's all about. I mean, it costs. People they haven't got a clue as to how much money costs with all these streaming services and everything right now. I mean, like I pay $2,000 a song to get it produced. Hello, and people don't realize and you've got to pay your musicians. And my goodness, it's not like and if you go on a gig. That's expensive because a lot of these places don't pay. A lot of people don't realize you play somewhere, you may get the door or you may get the beer jug passed around. That's not a tip. That's actually paying the musicians. And I talk about this a lot. My mother always told me, if they're not going to pay you, don't go, But she comes from a time when you had musicians union. She had a musicians union contract at the Brunswick House when she was singing there.
Wow,
and she even had to join the musicians union because she played the tambourine and the kazoo. They came in one night and they said,
I love it.
Are you? Yeah. She said, well, I've got her tambourine right here, as a matter of fact. Where is it here? Yeah, here it is.
Nice.
Yeah, right behind me. Anyway, the thing is, a lot of those went missing off her stage. So Long and McQuaid got a lot of business from her for replacement tambourines. But no, they said, are you a member of the musicians union? She said, no, I'm not. He said, well, I'm sorry, you can't play until you get up on stage with that tambourine and kazoo until you do.
Right.
So, and
yeah, wow.
Those were the days.
It'd be amazing if it were like that these days still, but right, I understand how things change.
Oh, it's in a bad way, because if a place didn't hire musicians, like if they would get blacklisted. I mean, the Brunswick got blacklisted a couple of times, and not just, and also with the LCBO, something about the liquor, won't go into that. But anyway, it's like, you got to do business. You got to do business however you do it. But
True.
But these places, they were blacklisted if they didn't hire union musicians, and it has changed. I don't know if you remember those days. I think you're still too young to do that, but it was it was a different world, completely different world. So what was I going to talk about? That was about it.
We were just talking about the cost of making music.
The cost of making music, and it does cost a lot of money, and people got to realize that. So buy the music, get it. My goodness, that beautiful album you got here. They can get Nashland. They can get. They can just buy the one song, "Bad Lessons." That's a fabulous tune. That's your title. That's your big hit. They're all great. They're all great. You can get, and the True Stories. That is, I've listened to some of those tunes, and they're great as well. So. Yeah, you've got and your Red Eye Blues and Rush Mode, and you've got Attic Jump CD, and you've got a lot of stuff, Ashes CD. So just go there to mikefieldjazz.com to get this music. It's fabulous, and to connect and get on, sign up to the email list so you know when he's playing. That's another thing, So because it's hard, that's another thing. A lot of these places where you play, Mike, and you probably experienced this. I know I have. It's like they'll say, "Do you have a following?"
Right.
And I'm looking at their venue. I'm thinking, do you have a following?
Right.
Do you have people who actually come in here and buy your food and your drinks and sit here and expect to be entertained? Because that's what I'm coming for. Do you have a following? And my mother was at the Brunswick. They had a following. They didn't ask my mother, do you have a following to bring customers in? If you're there, then you better just play CDs. Because you can't afford a band, you can't afford musicians. Like, just stop it. This is really lame. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I totally know what you mean.
Lame.
I totally know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm trying to adapt as best I can, and I get it also that it is really hard to run an establishment of any sort.
It is,
and it costs a lot of money, and so. So any extra money to pay for a band
is just really hard.
It is.
And whether we like it or not, it's how it is.
It is. It is how it is. It is how it is.
And so I want to play. I still want to play, and my fans do want to hear me play.
Exactly.
And so fortunately, I can put on a concert here in Toronto, and I have to work. I've got to work at it, but I can get some people, enough people to come out and to just make it worthwhile.
But
and everyone has a good time and everyone is happy.
Exactly.
But it's a lot of work, and it's not. But I can't be complacent about it.
No, not nowadays. No.
Yeah, no. I mean, I wish that I could. I wish that I could just focus on making my music and not be, constantly marketing and networking and that sort of thing. But that just isn't how it is these days, whether we like it or not. And
I don't like it.
It is frustrating. But I mean, I'll listen to other podcasts about how the industry is going these days, and it's the same thing everywhere. You have to have done all of the marketing yourself first before anyone else is going to be interested in looking at you. Maybe there are a few places that do have followings that we can tap into as musicians, and that's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's more of like a collaboration, but in the end, it's all a collaboration. Whether we're collaborating with a venue or collaborating with say another group that has a following, or a subscription, like a theater subscription audience,
that's a good thing. Yeah, the theaters. I just don't like feeling like an insurance salesman, because every time you come close to your friends. Yeah. I have the idea is to build your base, your fan base, because you can't build a fan base if you don't have new people coming into every venue that you're going to, that's the thing too. So you go to every place you play and you see the same faces. That's the thing that I'm not crazy about. Yeah, not that I don't like. I like fans. I love fans, but I mean, it's like, of course, it's like, okay, so they've heard this show before. They've heard this story before.
Yes. Yeah, it's so true, because especially because I do tell my stories, and I've got people who do come out to concerts over and over, and I feel so bad that I'm telling the same stories, but they're super patient with me, and then I'm always very excited to have new songs and new stories,
and not just that,
after every trip, and that works.
And when you play live too, and I do encourage people to go out and hear live music, it always sounds different. It will never sound the same anytime that you play it. It's going to have a different venues, it's going to have different sound. You might have to pick up some different new musicians, because you know how that works too. Bass player's not ready. You gotta go call around and see who can come out for the gig. That kind of thing. So now we're coming to the final song. The final song for tonight. We played quite a few of your songs tonight. This is fantastic. So we're gonna play Chicken, Cigars, and Leche. Oh yes, that reminds me of my Cuban band days, pollo, cigarro, y leche.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh boy. So what's that story?
Well, so there is very much a Cuban influence in this story. So a couple of years ago, I wanted to go to Maine in the fall to enjoy the wonderful colors and to spend a month working on my music.
Very Cuban.
But it's so expensive.
Yeah.
So the only place I could afford for a month, an Airbnb plus flights.
Are you kidding me?
Was Little Havana in Miami during hurricane season.
Oh my gosh.
Because that was actually cheap. And so I ended up spending a month down there. And I had heard lots of things about Little Havana being pretty shady. And even in the cab from the airport to the Airbnbs, the driver was saying, hey, you might not want to go out at night, like always look over your shoulder, that sort of thing. And it was like, okay, well, all right, I'll be careful. Yeah. And then so first morning I wake up, I step outside, and oh my gosh, it was exactly like Latin America. It was amazing. There was like salsa music blasting in the streets at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and some guy like sitting on his patio, his front patio. There were chickens running around in the street, and then walking down the main street, was it Calle Ocho or whatever? I can't remember what it's called, but there's there are all these cigar shops, and and the rice and beans meals, and the ropa vieja, and you can get a cafecito for $1. and so much Spanish. And I'm a language nerd. I love like speaking different languages and learning different languages. But I went into a grocery store the first day and I'm like looking for the milk and I couldn't find it. And I asked the lady, he's like, hey, can you tell me where the milk is? And she just looks at me, she's like, and I'm like, milk, where's the milk? She's like, and I'm like, leche, ¿dónde está la leche? And she's like, oh, la leche está por aquí en la izquierda, blah, blah, blah. So she's working at a grocery store and she does not even know how to say milk in English, just in Spanish. So that's how much Spanish there is, which is, I absolutely love that sort of thing.
Hasta porque la gente que habla en español no quiere habla en inglés porque no necesita.
Bueno, sí, exactamente. Eso sí pasa. A veces, sí, es una sorpresa cuando pasa en una ciudad en los Estados Unidos. Pero
Esto es.
it's such a surprise when that happens, even in an American city. But
in Canada,
in
Canada, I worked for CHHA 1610 AM, La Voz de la Comunidad, Voces Latinas. And they said, aquí hablan español porque no hablan inglés, okay? I said, ¿por qué?
Wonderful.
Estoy en Canada. ¿Por qué? And then that was it. So that's where I had to learn my Spanish there and in the band.
It's so great. Yeah, no, it's so great. I mean, language diversity is just phenomenal. It's just so great because there's so many languages out there. And it's when you can speak someone else's language, then you just it opens up so many doors for communicating and connecting with people and hearing stories and hearing perspectives on life and learning about their culture, their daily lives and how similar we are no matter where we are in the world and all
it's musical. It's very musical too. Language is musical. So
totally.
Chicken, cigars, and leche. What's that all about? So that's about the store, the Little Havana.
Yeah, that month that I spent in Little Havana with the rice and with the chickens running around in the street, the cigar stores and the leche, looking for milk in the grocery store. I felt that Chicken, Cigars, and Leche would be an appropriate title for the melody that was inspired by that experience.
Like en el barrio la cachimba se formaron la joredera. like
Amazing.
The que cuatro de Tula. I'm sorry, my lips are not getting around the Spanish today, but yeah, Chicken, Cigars, and Leche. Okay, so you got to get this album because you're going to remember the stories and you're going to listen to this and you're going to laugh and you're going to have fun. You're going to dance, bailar. Okay, Chickens, Cigars, and Leche. Here we go. Chicken, Cigars, and Leche. That's Mike Field from his new album, Nashland. Get it at mikefieldjazz.com. And Mike, I love the little stops, the breaks, like the music stops. That's very, very popular in Cuban music too, eh?
Yeah, definitely. It helps keep it interesting for the listener, I think.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, what was that? What's going on? Oh, cool. Oh.
Yeah. That's very that sort of turnaround. Very, very. Do you know Hilario Duran at all?
Yeah, I mean, I know of him. I know his music, but I don't know him personally.
I do.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine, and
Oh, nice.
I could see you playing with him. I'm telling you, he's got his players, but my gosh, I'm telling you, I'm gonna send him this to listen to. I think your stuff is amazing, just amazing. So I want to thank you so much for joining me here on the Joyce Aldrich Show. It's been an absolute treat. And
thank you.
And
thank you very much.
Well, happy trails to you and your wife and all your travels and everything. May you have incredible tours and that your music is embraced all over the world, because that's what we need. The music makes the world love makes the world go round, but so does music.
Yeah, that's right.
So thank you again. So again, Mike Field Music, MikeFieldJazz.com. That's where you can get his music. MikeFieldJazz.com. Get the music and keep yourself posted as to where he's playing next. And I know we've got international listeners, so you know what? If he's in your neighborhood, go listen to him. Absolutely. You got to get out to the Netherlands and Switzerland. I hear is a very good place to play too.
Yeah. For sure. I will definitely try.
Whatever you can get. It's all good. Anyway, thank you so much. We're going to, there go the sirens. It's telling me to say goodbye. So I'm going to just play my extra, and I thank you so much for joining me here on the Joyce
Thank you
Aldrich
again,
Show.
Joyce.
Oh, a pleasure.
You are listening to the Joyce Aldrich Show from Toronto, Canada, Arts and Entertainment Edition.